Hi, this is Richard from Reidys Home of Music in Blackburn. I'm here with Steve from Blackstar, checking out some of the amazing Blackstar amps we've got in. And now we're going to talk about the ISF feature that's on the amps. Now, I know this is one of the kind of unique features about Blackstar amps.
Yeah.
And you see it in the EQ section. Can you tell us a bit more about what it does and how it affects the sound?
Sure, yeah. Well, I mean, the first thing is it's a patent to Blackstar, and that's a huge deal. When I used to work in a store environment, I would often just scroll over it pretty quickly. You know, this is a patent to the amp.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool. It does this and this. But when I got the other side of the fence and started working for the brand, I realised that it's not that easy to get a patent. You're not dealing with a board of guys in suits and ties that are musicians. You're dealing with a specific panel of people that need to see written evidence, practical evidence of the feature of the product you're trying to achieve, the uniqueness of it. It costs a lot of money and it takes a long time. To get the patent on Blackstar products took around about 2 years.
Right, wow.
So it's a huge deal.
Yeah.
And really the beginning of the story where I'll start is when the guys were making Blackstar products in the early days in the shed, as we call it. Ian Robinson, our managing director, who was ex-Marshall, they were making stuff in his shed at the bottom of his garden, and they had this dream or this idea that they would voice specific amplifiers for different artists.
Right.
So if Slash was in town, or if Scott Gorham or whoever was in town, Clapton, they would contact them and say, listen, we want to make an amplifier for you and voice it just for your ears. Right. Because the thing that makes amplifiers so iconic and the way they sound is the voicing of the amplifier. And I've personally used over the years Orange, Vox, Marshall, Fender, myself, and they're all amazing at what they do. There's a reason they're so iconic. Yeah. And the dream was to try and give an amplifier that was a specific voicing for that person. Along the way, Ian suggested to Bruce, the technical director, again he was at Marshall, wouldn't it be great if every customer could voice their own amp? And of course this was a huge headache for Bruce at the time. It was kind of like, what? You want to get every customer to come and see me so I can, who wants to buy one of our products? Yeah. So along the way, he came up with one dial that allowed him to do it. And basically what gives an amplifier its voice, which is a very important tonal characteristic to the amp, is it's all to do with the tone stack, the bass, the middle, the treble, which everyone's used to. So ever since the late 40s, early 50s, where Fender were the first people to bring out great guitar amps, everything generally has been a copy since then. Yeah. So Jim Marshall, copied the Fender Bassman. Yeah. And that's where it all began. So everything is really a copy of the iconic Fender. And it's all to do with the capacitor value sizes on that tone stack. Now, I'm no engineer, but this is stuff that I hear Bruce talk about all the time. And the bass, the middle and the treble give the amplifier its voicing. So for us guys that are around amplifiers all day and work in stores all day, and particularly consumers that like a certain band that uses a certain amp, you can always tell their tone. Yeah. Let's face it, and it's a lot to do with the fingers and the heart of the player. Yeah, of course. But their tone is equally as important, And what ISF allows you to do, it stands for infinite shape feature. And once you've set your bass, your middle, your treble, on an amplifier without ISF, that's always really how it's going to sound, generally. The ISF allows you to move that tone stack around the sonic scale. Right. And it really fluctuates with where the mid dip occurs. Okay. So the capacitor value sizes on a tone stack, there's a certain point in the sonic scale where there's a mid dip. So, some classic British amplifiers like Vox might be, a dip here. Marshall might be here. Orange might be here. Yeah. And ISF allows you to move where that sits. So you can infinitely change where that sits, but also at the same time it's fluctuating those treble frequencies and those bass frequencies along with it in a subtle way. Yeah, so it's kind of moving it all along. So you know, on the points of sale on Blackstar products and some of the videos you may have seen, some of the advertisements, you'll see a yellow cab and a black cab to give you the hint that it's more of an American style tone stack or a British style tone stack. And those really, either side of the pond, are where the most iconic amps were built.
Yeah.
And typically when you go over to the American side, which is all the way off, it's more of a tighter response, more of a mid-scoop. The bass becomes a lot tighter.
Yeah.
Trebles are pushed a little bit. All the way onto the British side, the mids become a lot more pushed, a lot more open. The bass becomes more open. But the really unique thing is, let's for example say there's a band with 2 guitar players. They both have a Les Paul. They both have a HT Club 40. Each of them could sound dramatically different.
Yeah, just by using the ISF.
And Blackstar's motto or the ethos is the sound in your head. And if Ian, our director, was ever asked what is the sound in your head, he would say it's whatever the guitarist wants it to be.
Yeah.
We want the guitarist to achieve his own tone.
So they basically have succeeded in every customer can get the voicing that they've got in their head.
Exactly,
Yeah, so just by using that, they can get, you know, a completely different sound to
absolutely,
someone else.
And it's a real unique part of Blackstar amplifiers. The only amplifier it doesn't appear on is the first amplifier that we brought out called the Artisan, which is more of a hand-wired sonic point-to-point, pure amplifier that would suit the likes of Angus Young or Pete Townsend if they're plugged in, or Brian May or someone like that, you know. But ever since that product, everything has had ISF on it.
Right, good stuff. Right, well, I mean, we can talk about it all day, but let's hear how it sounds.
Yeah, cool.
Right, so whereabouts are we on the controls?
Okay, so at the moment I'm running a classic overdrive sound with the ISF on the British side of things, and as I'm playing I'll probably move it over to the US side all the way anti-clockwise, and we'll see what tonalities we can get.
Yeah, good stuff.
Cool.
So am I right in saying that was you're using single coils there? Cause I can see you've got coils
I've got series and parallel switch there. So now I'll do the same demo again with humbucker.
Good.